Alright, gonna make a couple of quick test cuts. I don't have a lot of fuel in either one of those saws. The one on the right is a 54mm Farmertec top end, and the one on the left is a Hyway 56mm top end. Both of them have gutted mufflers, and the Hyway has a slightly modified intake, and the 54 has, well, I'm just going to call it elbow grease. And so this is just going to be a quick comparison. I may do some more explanation after I'm done, but I'm kind of short on time and I got to go to work pretty quickly, so I have to do the test cuts as fast as I can, no pun intended. So first up will be the 54mm Farmertec top end, and I'm going to call it my Farmer Jones build, and there's a subsequent video on how that was put together. And then after I've done that, I'll do a few cuts, and you know, I might do 6 and show 3 and put up an average time. And after I do that, I'll do the same thing with that saw, really just to see if it matches where it was before. If it was, and if it is, I won't put as much time on that. I think the point will be made one way or the other, right? That one there, a little further along the development curve. Both of them idle high. Both of them idle high for the same reason, and that's because the carburetors that come with them, the throttle plate won't close, not totally. So you sort of try to tune around it. My bling saw, I solved it by putting a Walbro plate in there. And the group of carburetors I've seen recently have actually been worse than the ones I had 2 years ago. So they're pretty much all idle high. I'll fix them. That's not going to affect even a little bit the power they make up on top, which is really what counts. So, without further ado. Running out of gas. Alright, that's that saw right there. And that's literally the first cuts that saw has ever made. So breaking in is going to happen on this one. So if you like what you see, guess what? It gets better. Alright. 54mm Farmertec 7-tooth sprocket, new bar and chain. The Hyway also has a 7-tooth sprocket, and it also has a fresh chain, same bar, so they're roughly the same configuration. Well, there it is. I think the numbers will speak for themselves. I won't say a word. And now a couple of points. I'm not going to show the last couple of cuts on the Hyway because it took a nail about cut number 3. Now, what it feels like to me is, it feels like, well, the 54 has a little more RPMs and the 56 has a little bit more grunt. But the times will either bear that out or not. 54 is strong. There's no doubt that's a strong saw, but so is that 56. But here's the deal. The 54 millimeter was built with just the parts that came from the kit, plus elbow grease. That's it. And the Hyway cost another $75 to $100. So what you're going to have to ask yourself when I go back and do the times is, let's say the Farmertec is faster, why spend the extra money instead of just doing the elbow grease? Or if the Hyway proves to be stronger, is it worth the extra $100? That's the $100 question here. Bottom line to me, both those saws, they're both strong. You saw me match the Hyway up with the original 56 millimeter Farmertec, and the original 56 millimeter Farmertec was a little bit stronger. On that log it was about a half second to a second stronger. But I retired it, so I can't bring it out to play. Sling saw eats both those saws. I think I could gain more cut speed in that log with a 8-tooth sprocket on both. I believe the Hyway would benefit more than the 54 millimeter Farmertec. So that's another thing to point out. Both of them have gutted mufflers. I've done some scratching on the 54 millimeter jug, and I'll show that in a subsequent video. But on the 56 millimeter Hyway, not only did I gut the muffler, but I matched the exhaust outlet of the cylinder to the inlet of the muffler, and I also substantially modified the intake bracket to have less cross-sectional area and hopefully a little better flow going into that saw. So they both have been tweaked some, not much, but some. Both of them have exactly the same problem with the carburetor, and that is those throttle plates just simply don't shut. That design from the get-go's got problems. I haven't been able to really solve them, and I think it's just because of the way the internal geometry is. They're just off. They're not the Walbros. And you just can't, you can work around it and they work okay, as you can tell, but they're not going to be quite as good as a Walbro, you know, on that very same saw. I've pretty much come to that conclusion. And I've put a lot of time on them damn things. And not just those, but the 3 different variants of the carburetors that actually came over the last 2 years when I ordered carbs for MS660's from, you know, the Chinese aftermarket brands. The 2 that are on that are my favorites from the aftermarket, but neither one of them runs as good with that carburetor as they do with the Walbro. So if you guys are looking for performance, you really have to think about going to the Walbro. It idles better. I'm not sure it makes any more top end power, but I suspect it does. And I'm beginning to do a rant. I just want to put this together really quickly. This is Farmer Jones 54 versus Hyway 56 millimeter jugs on Farmertec cases in plastic. It's a wrap. We'll just see how it goes. I have no idea which one's faster. Still liking this helmet. The lower cost steel has plastic there instead of that steel wire. But I really like this one, and these Husqvarna full wrap chaps are great. So when you guys get into this stuff, and I've said it before, and I'm going to make a point of saying that, before we spend all kinds of money on extra cylinders and all that kind of crap, please, please, please upgrade to the best PPEs possible, because these damn things are powerful and they can make a mess in a hurry. So please, I know this is a series of saws and a saw video series which will cater more to the hobbyist than it will to the pro who already knows what I'm saying. But do not skimp on your PPEs, please, and learn some saw safety. You know, even if you have to go buy a course, please do that. Of course, the premise of this video is, can you make a standard, generic, boring, aftermarket 54mm top end run as good as one of those aftermarket 56mm hot dog top ends for, you know, extra money? We will see.